This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
I mean, the thing that I was afraid to address, again, is, are we really helping people? Do we have a shot a decade from now, right? Not now, a decade from now, where we can inspire a ton of people to go for it? I cannot believe that we're here. We're at episode number 94, by the way, of doing the podcast. And this will be episode number 51 of doing the podcast in year 2. And when I think back at the guests we've brought on, we've had amazing learning opportunities this year. We had Bob Fillion, CEO of Puma, on the board. We had Jalen Koff, who dazzled us as a silver medal aerial mogulist. We had Lauren Verusio and Jennifer Zidoni, who they both have their own lives. One's at Google, one was running, point at Bleacher Report, now at Warner, who, by the way, are together. That's just an awesome story. Michael Praisman, who is the founder of Everlane, Hartoon Weiss, at TikTok. Landon Donovan, has been zipping back and forth between Qatar, trying to explain what's going on over there. Beth Malafa, hopefully I didn't blow that name, at Under Armour. And then a guy I just spent the last week with down in Mexico, Chip Conley, who is teaching heart-centered leadership, a teacher, a visionary. And you kind of pinch yourself, you pinch yourself when you realize that all these people have just given you an hour of their lives. And I've always said it's almost unfair that it's like going to lunch. I get to go to lunch with all these people and learn from them and ask them questions I would ask them on a regular basis. And a few weeks back, we kind of flipped the script and people were like, well, what's my story and what do I do and how did I get here? And it sort of sparked, even when we weren't recording, conversations with a lot of our guests, and they had questions for me, and they had questions about how did I end up in this, and how cool it is that I get to just basically talk about courage. Now, before I bring in my guest for the day, because we're going to do a little role reversal here, I want to admit that it's hard to flip the script. I don't think this is an exercise in me being a narcissist and inviting myself onto my own show. I think it's an exercise in okay, year in review. What have I learned? What have we learned? And yeah, there was questions that others wanted to sort of ask me, and so it does change my role. During the year, I get the luxury of going on stage, and my job is to almost be a philosophizer, right? Make the team put their business on pause or timeout, take their minds on a little bit of a journey. Maybe you learn one or two new things while I'm there. Maybe it kickstarts conversations that need to happen. And the role I get to play 90% of my time is a very different role than trying to stay out of the way and set guardrails, which is what the show is all about. The show is not about me. It's about trying to take what I learned and have other people guide the conversations. Not what I've learned at all. Take what they've learned and then make sense of it all. So, as I sit with my podcast team, and it's an amazing team, and I'm between Mitch and Kimberly and Nicole and all the people who make my show what it is. Adam Baker's another one who's helped along the way. First of all, happy holidays to all of you. Thank you so much for all you do to help us get the show on the air. And then yes, for the first time, we're going to flip the script here. I'm bringing in my partner in crime here. She runs the action team at Courageous. Hi, Nicole Miller. How are you?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. And I can't believe that we haven't done this yet.
Oh,
It's
I can
actually kind
believe
of
it.
surprising.
I can believe it because I don't want to make it. This isn't about me. It's like I don't. I think again, like I said, it's awesome to just hear everyone else's stories and journeys, and I like that I get to play cruise director, right? But like, I'm not really on the cruise. I'm just sort of in the background. But yes, okay, here we go. So today, today I was going to say like I'm going to hand the reins over to you, and the control freak in me is going to try to step out of that and let you take it from here.
This is fun.
For
At least
you,
it's fun for me, yeah. I mean, I was going to say that you can still look at it through the lens of it isn't about you, really, because it's all of these people who are asking you questions. So you are helping people still in the long run. So it's about other people, not you.
well, I appreciate that. That's what I love about you. Way to find the positive spin on it, and so yeah, so let's roll here, and maybe I'll ask one last question, and then I'll hand it over. But like, for those who don't know you, can you do like 30 seconds on your story and obviously what you do at Courageous?
Sure. Yeah. As Ryan said, I'm the action lead at Courageous. So I get the pleasure of working alongside Ryan, helping companies with corporate change and reinvention. And it's really fun day in and day out. My background is mostly on the agency side. I spent a lot of time in marketing, full service, PR, different types of agencies working on both B2B and B2C accounts. Did a stint as in sports marketing as the director of marketing for the Padres, and now back on this side, getting to work with Ryan. And Ryan and I have known each other for I want to say 10 years, 10, 11. So it's been a bit. So it's been a fun journey and ride, and it's been fun getting the opportunity to get to work together again.
All right, well, let's get the show on the road here.
Let's go. We got some juicy questions.
Oh, and let's just also acknowledge that awkward back and forth with the team where I'm like, no, I don't want to look at the questions, right? Like, and that was
Yes,
cool,
and you didn't.
and I didn't, so I don't really know what's coming.
Okay. Well, we do have a lot. Let's start with a juicy one from your friend, former podcast guest, Landon Donovan, who wants to ask you what was your most courageous act of this year, Ryan?
Wow. Okay. Um, Great question. Nice one to kick this off, by the way. Funny you can't, courageous act. You probably like this because it's the action, right? You can't do
Yeah.
action without act commentary. Um, my most courageous act just happened, to be honest. It was basically going to Mexico, happened last week. And I went down to Modern Elder Academy, which basically gave me, I mean, it was an entrepreneur workshop, is what it was. But I knew I was really going down there to face myself and ask myself some hard questions. And I don't think I'm alone on this when you say we are time starved, and sometimes it's a good thing, right? Because when you're time starved, it's a cop out and an excuse not to face yourself because, oh, I'm so busy. I'm just so busy. I got to do this for this client and that for that client. I just don't have time to even think about
Mhm.
myself, And I forced myself to basically go down there and give myself the space and the to just sort of, yeah, take the curriculum that Chip Conley puts forward. If you haven't heard of the Modern Elder Academy, check it out because he's an amazing teacher and he's teaching heart-centered leadership. And there were specific rules. I knew I was going to have to face myself, although the class was about entrepreneurship, which I was able to take on with 29, 28 others. There were some specific rules I told myself going in. One was I'm leaving my damn cell phone in my room,
Nice.
right? I'm going to go solo on this. Um, Two, I don't want to spend the whole time with myself. So I really, really tried to collide with the others that were there and like hear their story. What are they about?
Hmm.
And then the biggie was I always say to my clients, like, stop lying to yourself. Like, what's the thing you need to bubble to the surface? And even while we were there, even Chip had brought up, like, what's the one thing you're pretending to not tell yourself? Right?
Love
Like,
that question. Yeah,
right.
that's tough.
And so I knew the third was like, just, go face myself, face the mirror and be like, am I really helping people? Are we really making progress? We're in our, gosh, fourth year now, third or fourth year since I left my last life, IDEA, to go launch Courageous. And I was excited to sort of see what would come of it. So I think the act was just facing myself and going through the process and letting myself be. I think I cried 2 or 3 times while I was down there. Um, One was true tears on, like I remember saying this on the last night there, like, I love what I do. It wasn't in the head, that it was like down in my soul that I got to say, like, I love that I get to do what we do. And
Hmm.
there's true passion there. Another time I cried was for somebody else who I met, who, like, it was more just, I wanted the best for this person, and like the pain that I felt. And it's like when you want to take someone else's pain away and you can't.
Hmm.
And so I think the act was like knowing I was going to go down there, and I knew I was going to face some things. And when I didn't, like, when I told myself the truth, what came out of it was, okay, like, we're on the right path. Like, I love that. Like, I still love that we get to do this. I love that we get to try to help people where they're stuck, scared, still, or spinning,
Hmm.
and help them with their shift. And I also, I don't think we're there yet, but I need to be courageous myself on the tribe building side of Courageous, and it's coming. And this is not an advertisement for that. Like, it's not figured out, right? But like,
Hmm.
I had a moment of clarity while I was down there, that was like, okay, even though I'm scared, and even though it's gonna cost money, like, I'm gonna have to pay for, frankly, like,
Right.
I absolutely need to figure out a way to bring together people that want to be courageous, and not in like a digital Zoom forum. Like, we deserve to know each other, and we deserve to, like, support each other, and we deserve to, and I felt it firsthand from what Chip had built down there, because it's like finding 28 new friends. Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone put their life on pause. Everybody came down here. Well, by the time we go back to our real lives, I'm actually not going back alone. Like, we'll have a community of people that are together, and you feel like you belong more than you did before you went in there.
That's outstanding. Like, and I'm just curious on this. Was it easy for you to figure out what that one thing was that you were lying to yourself about, or like, or did you that take you some days to figure out what that thing was for you?
I honestly don't know, only because I trust the process. Like, it's like I've been doing this long enough where I truly trust, like, stay open, right? Acknowledge that you don't have an answer yet, but don't let yourself get frustrated by that.
Right.
I mean, the thing that I was, like, afraid to address, like, again, is, are we really helping people? Like, does the brand, does the idea, you know, do we have a shot a decade from now, right? Not now, a decade from now, where we can inspire a ton of people to go for it, whatever that might
Hmm.
be. And it's not just the corporate side. Like, you know, if I could give you the tools to change jobs, okay, easy. If I give you the tools to, like, come out if you're gay, or if I give you the tools to start your own business, or the tools to move to a new city, or the tools to say no where you never had
Hmm.
the courage to say no, and then the community of people that supports you, so you don't feel like you're alone. I have found myself saying, in some ways, we continue to be on this quest to take the courage out of courage, every way, shape, or form. Like, if we can continue to
Hmm.
take the courage out of courage, and, like, give you practical steps that you can follow, or take the courage out of courage, right? Like, here's other people just like you that are trying to right? Make it in the world. Like
Yep.
that is the really kind of the mission of what we're doing. So no, I mean the good news is when I actually like go back to the stuck, scared, still, or spinning. I think I was spinning on a very particular issue, and I finally came out the other side with like total clarity. It wasn't anything I was afraid of, other than the obvious things that that come with money and investments and shit like that.
Right.
So I'm excited. I felt like, and thank you, Chip Conley, for making the Modern Elder Academy, because I know his intentions are pure, and I know if you get the opportunity, look, and I don't love the name Modern Elder Academy. Chip's probably gonna, because I
It's your
don't feel
creative brain going.
right. Yeah, I want to like rebrand it, but like I think that's part. Like, look, he has a whole story for why it's that, and I'm sure he loves when people then it sort of nudges you to ask the question, why that name, and so it works in their favor too. But, I'm 46. I don't see myself as an elder in the definition that I give an elder. And he would be, if he was here, he would say, I didn't say elderly, Ryan. I said elder.
Mm-mm.
Right. So anyway, that's that was the act, was going down there and facing myself and having the courage to sort of spar with the specific issue, and now know like, okay, we've got to build the community piece, or we're kind of doing a disservice to everything we're trying to build.
That's awesome. Sounds like a really cool experience of growth. So maybe when I get to be an elder, I can go. I'm just kidding. It's just because you have wisdom. That's all.
Well, that's what he says
Um,
they teach. They're teaching
yes.
wisdom.
Yeah. All right. You ready for another one?
Sure, bring it.
This one's from ooh, this is a good one. Okay. What is the number one opportunity that you see for leaders to, quote, lead well? As in, what do you wish leaders would do that many may not be doing?
Mm. So this would be a good time to say, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of shit from Billy Collins, who's our third partner, right? Because he's not asking the questions today. And Billy runs the knowledge part of our business, and during COVID, Billy was instrumental in being part of almost every courageous action chat that we had put on. And for those of you who are like, what the heck is a courageous action chat? Rhett Power, another great leader, um, and I basically put on this every Friday, 1 hour forum on Zoom. And if you can make it, you can make it. And if you couldn't, all good. We'll see you at the next one. And for the full year of 2021, every Friday we would come together, and whatever was like the topic du jour, we would hit. And there was some crazy stuff, right? Like, it wasn't just COVID. It started as COVID, and then the thought was like, well, it's going to get pretty lonely as an extrovert if I'm stuck here in my house for the next 52 weeks. But then in one of those talks, I remember us talking about what makes great leadership. And it was something that Billy said that really, really stuck with me. And I think the conversation started as like, well, what makes a great leader is a great listener.
Mm.
And I still think that like that holds true, right? Like, I think about some of, just calling it like it is, I think about some of my past partnerships, and we could have been better leaders. I remember coining this concept, ivory tower syndrome,
Mhm.
right? You're too far away, stuck in the ivory tower, and there's this massive moat between you and the people actually doing the work. And I think that's an issue. I think you got to roll up your sleeves and get in there, because I think that's where the listening starts. Now, Billy said that I just loved that, yes, leadership takes listening. And then he also said, I think leadership takes remembering.
Mm.
And to me, that takes listening to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And the irony is, I think this moment is a listening is remembering moment. It's just something that Billy said over a year ago, and it still sticks with me. It still lands with me. And I think employees the bar is so low. I mean, they want the world. They don't think they're going to get it. The expectation of what they think they're going to get from where they work or who they work for, and as the great resignation happened or the great reshuffle happened, it still comes off transactional that like the employee has the power.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're really not just listening but remembering that specialness of making an employee feel like, oh my God, they actually heard what I said.
Right.
And it wasn't just like at the end of the call, and thank you so much for speaking up. It was like, right, it's like 90 days later, 60 days later, sort of continuing to acknowledge that what you said landed and matters. So I think if I'm a leader, it's not just about listening, it's about remembering, and it's about, really taking a moment in your time with your team and co-creating the future with them. And it starts with like, okay, if we're now in co-creation space, what do I need to remember from this conversation?
Right.
Right. And look, everything that everybody says isn't going to be the most brilliant thing in the world. Right. But like, it starts with the forum. It starts with the listening, and then it's about remembering and bringing into other things that you do later down the line.
And I think too, it's about being like very present in conversations with people. Like the best thing I ever heard about listening was that most people listen with the intention to respond versus with the intention of actually understanding. And so actually trying to listen to people and not trying to respond, but just trying to listen to understand, I think it's difficult sometimes, but I think if trying to listen through that lens, I think is where people can actually grow and become better listeners.
I adore that, and I think what I'm doing right now is recounting the a few conversations that have happened in the last few years. And it's funny how our brains work, that you can like rapid fire through
Yeah,
specific
crazy.
moments where you felt like you were in a safe place with someone. And again, when your company is called Courageous, it does give you permission to be courageous with what you share. And so I remember a few times when I was just being me and sharing information. And I think you can do it with tact and grace, by the way. You don't have to be a jerk about it.
Totally.
But I still remember specific the way that people had responded was through the lens of fear. Like, so worried that I was like, they hadn't thought of that, or I was coming at them, or okay, so maybe this is if you are a client or a future client listening to this, always know I'm coming at it from love. It's always love first. Um, again, it's so funny. I just had this conversation. Like, tough love is still love, right?
Absolutely.
Tough is you're a jerk, but tough love is still love, and you try to go into every conversation you can prepared, and you're trying to help, right? So, but it starts with like, I think it starts like you said, like I'm not trying to respond to everything. It's like, how do I take in what you said, remember that thing, and push it forward.
And I feel like I'm hijacking the questions, but I think tough love is really just honesty. It's just honest love. And I think you've said it before, but like sometimes honesty is hard. And the fact that it's like sometimes the most challenging thing we do is just to be honest is like, if it were easy, I think everyone would do it all the time.
Well, it's sort of sad that it isn't easy, right? Like,
Right.
and even as a leader, back to you or Billy or Kimberly or whoever on the team, like, how do I make sure that I'm creating a forum for you guys to call me out on my shit without fear of repercussion, right? Like, right? I hope you don't feel terrified
No.
to.
I think you do that beautifully. I think you're
Okay.
an excellent example of creating that space, so, for what it's worth.
I'll take it. Because to me, it's like, yeah, it's like put yourself in a position to listen and remember, right? It's like the other part of this.
Great. Let's do another one. What's one small, easy thing that someone can start doing daily today to make them more courageous?
So if I were listening to this, I would buy a journal. And before you get ahead of yourself and think, oh, here we go, dear diary,
Dear
dear,
diary.
today was a scary day,
Ryan told me to write, so
right?
I'm writing.
And again, maybe this is something at some point we will actually create for people. But in the meantime, I would take I would take this new journal and I would break it into three. Like take your first piece of paper and literally break it into three sections from left to right. And on the left side, I would put at the top knowledge. In the middle, I would put faith. And on the right, I'd put action. And underneath that, in parentheses, I'd put think on the left. I'd put feel in the middle. And I'd put do on the right. And I would just start to list out your think, feel, and do on things that you feel are most important to you. So like maybe to start, it's three things. Like start back from, what do I want to do? Like what's this big audacious, courageous move you want to make? And look, this episode's going to go live at the end of the year, and I'll be slightly morbid. Okay, I was thinking about putting this in my newsletter, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to like be that morbid, but I could do it because in a verbal, like a podcast. So like 2022 is about to die.
Yeah,
It is.
almost.
I mean, right? Like we're almost there. Like it is. This is it. And a lot of times with death, there comes life. There's a birth. There's a rebirth, which is what 2023 is gonna be. So like, that's also the optimist in me doesn't look at that moment like, whoa, Ryan, geez. It's the opposite. It's you have this moment where the rebirth is coming. Right. What can you also have die with 2022? Okay.
Yep.
What thing didn't you do that you wanted to get to, or you told yourself you'd get to, but you never, you just, you even knew deep down you lied to yourself. We're back to that. And you
Right.
knew you never were going to get to it. So like, I love the idea of triggers like January 1st, the rebirth, this birth of a new, and what do you need to leave in the past and start fresh in the new year. And so I'd go get the journal now, right? And in my 2023 journal with think, feel, do.
Hmm.
And maybe first page, I could go back a step as like, okay, what are those three big acts, that you want to do? I always talk about New Year's resolutions. I'm a fan of resolutions. A lot of people aren't for whatever reason. I don't know. Usually I don't know, I feel like people who aren't fans of resolutions don't make resolutions or failed on their resolutions. I like them. And
I'm in the I hate them camp, by the
okay,
way.
all right. Well, here you'll be my challenge if I can give you the tools you need. But like, hey, look, the way I look at New Year's resolutions, I always have a mind resolution. I have a
Yes, I love this.
I have a body resolution, and I have a spirit resolution. Right. So maybe on this rebirth 2023 journal, think, feel, do journal, you put on the first page your mind resolution, your body resolution, and your spirit resolution. And by the way, if you like this stuff and you never knew that I had a weekly dose of courage, this sounds like a shameless promotion, but like every Thursday we send out these little nudges, these little quips. And a lot of times I'm taking what I learned from like other folks. Like by the time this podcast will go live, last Thursday was this concept of fear but fair. Fear but fair, right? Instead of firm but fair. Firm but fair is a great leadership style that I learned when I was 16 at summer camp, right? Counselor and leadership training. 30 years later, I'm like, oh, it's fear but fair, right? Fear is not a bad thing, and it's not unfair fear, by the way. It's like fear that makes me a little bit nervous, but also helps me acknowledge if I'm going to take it on that I'm challenged
Hmm.
and that I'm alive.
Yes, like that's a good feeling. It's like that's where like, okay, I actually should act on this. You have to have that little bit of a pit in your stomach sometimes for
Yeah.
it to feel real.
So to me, fear but fair is a good example of that. Like what is this fear that I'd like to take on in 2023? That's fair. It's like not
Hmm.
like out of bounds. It's not It's not like I want to be president of the United States. It's like, okay, probably not fair, right? But if it's, I want to, for me on the body side, right? Like I want to drop 10% of my body fat. Like I really do. Like I want to try to like, this is by far the biggest fear that I have for me. By the way, this isn't about anybody else. This is about me and like something that I want to take on and I want to challenge. I love food, so like I got to figure out how to do that in a way that brings happiness, not
Yeah.
anxiety on a regular basis.
Right.
I know the next book I want to write, that's going to be one of my on the mind side, so imagine if I had these three figured out, and then like the first page is all on the first resolution on mind, think, feel, do, and then the second one is all on faith, and then the third is all on the action side. And now you're creating daily triggers that you're going to run into. It's like if I went to the mental gym every day, just like if I went to the actual gym every day and use the weights, you're going to see a difference. But you got to create those speed bumps along the way to get going. One other little quip, little note. This is also another place where I'd say technology can be your friend. Like, how do you utilize technology? So let's just say you're like, Ryan, I like the idea of like, how about I set one resolution for next year? Like, that's enough for me. Okay. Then maybe what you're doing is you're actually putting on the calendar like blocks of time, like schedule blocks of time on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays or whatever day, once a week. So at least it pops up on your phone. You're creating, let technology work for you as a reminder, right? And so when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, shoot, that's right. I said that this was important. Let me get to it.
Those are all great suggestions. My favorite being what to let go of. I think sometimes that's just as important as what you decide to do. Love it.
Well, if the roles were reversed, I'd ask you, give me one sort of tool or idea to help people on the let go part.
Oh man. This is what always works for me on the letting go part is like remembering that nothing is permanent in life. Like jobs are impermanent, life is impermanent, homes are I mean, everything is impermanent. So sometimes when I feel like I get stuck feeling like I can't let go of something, I try to remember that. Like really like zooming out and remembering. Sometimes a lot of those things end up feeling really small when I'm able to kind of like zoom out a bit. So
this too shall pass. This
too shall pass, Mr.
Yeah.
Berman.
Yes. All right. What else you got?
How about
how we doing, by the way? Is this what you wanted?
I could do this all day.
Okay. Good to know.
It's fun. Is there a time that you chose to be more cautious versus courageous? And if so, why did you make that decision?
Yeah. Good question. So I do think courage is a currency. All right. So I think courage is a currency, and to be really, really clear, I remember reading about this idea someone at Harvard had written about this, and it makes sense. It's like you wouldn't go to spend all your money at one. Like you got to be careful where you spend and where you don't spend. And I think from a corporate standpoint, it's the same. You can't be like wildly courageous on every project. You just exhaust yourself and others along the way. And I think it's picking a few spots where to really lean in on that currency, especially because it's not just you. You're working in a team and you're bringing other people along. I've always said courage is also relative. To me, it's very much like skiing, right? There's bunny slope people. There's like drop me out of a helicopter, black diamond courage folks, and just depending on your experiences is sort of where you land on the mountain. And I've always said, like, look, if I can't get you to the mountain, we probably shouldn't work together. But like, if there's a willingness to get to the mountain, then off we go. But of course, you don't know when you're on a team if am I the black diamond version? Am I the bunny slope version? Or the realistically like, oh, I didn't even want to go skiing. It's cold. I don't know how to ski. I don't want to be
I hate
courageous.
this.
I just want to get my paycheck. And so this is the reality of like how teams are formed. So the idea of like going slow in some places or being cautious in some point, I think sometimes it's as simple as like, especially if you're like inheriting a team or you're inheriting a project, that how do you get that team on the same page as fast as possible? I think there's an audit that's needed.
Hmm.
I don't think this is a new idea, but sometimes it's easier to like completely break and start new, right?
Hmm.
Versus like you've inherited something and you got to go backwards, and then like how do you get, move on from people that don't want to be courageous? So just sort of the starting slow part, I think, is making sure mentality wise that the team is on the same page. I think that is a
Hmm.
biggie. And then if you have the luxury, like you actually have a budget and the luxury of handpicking teams, or as I like to say, breaking specific rules, right? And like building a team that can break rules out of the gate, then you do have a serious advantage because you can pick mentalities of people that like are all playing on the same team. I'll also
Hmm.
say, look, this is Courageous is like my third creative business that I've owned. And I've learned a whole lot from each one. My first business, when I had no business running a business, was called Fish Tank. And the idea with Fish Tank was, everywhere you go, there are fish tanks, right? Hotel lobby, Chinese restaurant, fraternity houses, and you think you're watching the tanks, but no, the fish tank is watching you. Ooh,
Hmm.
the fish tank is watching, right? And the whole idea was, as observationalists, we're going to take you in as you are so we can better figure out ways to build messages or brands that are going to land with you. And it was, we were kids, but it was cool.
Hmm.
Did I really have like the aha moment where I really stepped into the shoes of a client? And I remember many, again, I was 29. I remember many clients walking into our office and being like, "Cool," and their comment was more like, "I wasn't sure if you had an office. Like, we like your creative product, but I wasn't really sure like what you were, other than it was a cool product."
Yeah. You're
And
for
then
real. Wow, you have an office.
cool, and it wasn't like we were working with local businesses. We were working with UNICEF to Puma, and like we had done some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then my second business was IDEA. You mean idea?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. IDEA, idea. And the way that we had built the business was there was a powerful idea side of the business, and there was the powering ideas part of the business. And the idea was that when you integrate those two, the powering idea gets better when the powering idea people are brainstorming with the powerful ideas, and the powerful ideas part of the business gets better when they're brainstorming with the powering ideas, people that understand media. And it was like truly this integrated IDEA. And you take that out to a client, and still there's confusion. Like, I know you're in the idea business. Do you do digital media? Do you do there's all these other things, and
Right.
and and actually, because I don't think we were super clear, it allowed us to say yes to things we probably should have said no to. It didn't have the
Right.
courage to do that, frankly. But that was successful. I mean, we grew it to like 80, 90 people.
Hmm.
That's where we met, obviously. It
Yep.
just the amount of talent that we had in that building at one time was pretty
Oh,
special.
immense. Hmm.
But realized again, same thing, when the phone actually rang, the person on the other line wasn't totally sure what they were getting from us. So to go back to the cautious commentary, a lot of my detective work on like, does the world need this? Are we being as clear as we think we are? Anywhere where you still have the reins before an idea or a brand, or a message goes out into the world and you're not there to defend it.
Hmm.
By the way, it could be internal. You send a newsletter internally quarterly to your staff, right? Like, I do a lot of detective work just, hey, call me out of my bullshit. Is this like even worth our time? Like, am I just talking to myself or is there something
Mhm.
here?
Yes.
So I think when courageous as an idea was finally like, okay, the germination period was up, I had talked to enough people to go, there's a need for this. And I
Mhm.
do like how wide it is, but like our phone doesn't ring when somebody wants a web banner, which is great. It's like, do they need courage? Is there a shift that needs to happen? Is it a courageous leadership moment where, look, it's really lonely to be the leader. It's hard to be the leader. And so if we can be an ally on that journey, and a lot of times on the keynote side or the workshop side, I'm being brought in by a president or head of HR or CEO that they want that courage. They want their team to be a little bit more courageous. On the courageous ideas side, I think we still feel courageous ideas are the only ones that matter, right? The courageous
Mhm.
reinvention side, it's answering the call to where a company might be stuck, scared, stale, or spinning, and we can help them pivot and shift. And a lot of the work we're doing with Kraft Heinz, in my opinion, is like in that arena. So
Mhm.
to me, it starts with like go slow so you can go faster later. And I would say the go
Right.
slow is the cautious part.
Yep.
So that once we're out there, we're off and running.
Yeah. It's like riding a bike. Got to start with the training wheels.
Kind of.
Yep.
It's slow cooked.
Yep. And it's cool as you talk about it, like full circle. It's cool to see also like the what you've learned from business to business, and like to see where you're at today. It's really cool. I guess you kind of paint the whole picture.
Well, again, still,
Congratulations.
oh, I don't see it that way. We're in it. We're just in it still.
Yeah, but every now and then you have to like congratulate yourself, right? Like, yeah, you've done a lot of like great work and a lot of cool things to get you to where you are today. So if no one else tells you that today, I'm telling you that today.
Oh, thank you, Nicole Miller. I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. All right, I feel like we're getting close, so I'm going to close with one final question. So
Okay.
this one is coming from Jeff Cottrell, who was recently on the podcast. He wants to know, what is your leadership advice for 2023?
All right. So this is, first of all, Jeff is the coolest. He's the best. Jeff's the chief marketing officer well, he just got a new title. It's like chief brand officer at Topgolf.
Yes,
And he
I believe
describes it,
that's right.
and he calls it's golf and it's not golf. And he's right. And, for something that stated like that, it somehow makes perfect sense because Topgolf is golf and it's not golf. And they're opening a few here in San Diego, which I'm excited about. Okay. I'm going to say something that was inspired by Jeff. And like Jeff, if you go back to his episode and maybe, okay, Mitch, this is a great way to give Mitch a shout out right in the smack of the
Mitch.
episode. Hey, Mitch, go do me a favor and find the first episode we had with Jeff and insert it right here, right now.
I believed in something so much that I had to quit. I acted like I was 4 years old, and I like went in and threw a tantrum and quit. And because they wouldn't let me do it, and then they did let me do it because I said to them, "You're going to fire me someday. I actually want this to be the thing you fire me about."
Pick the thing you want to be fired for. Now, this really isn't about like the Jerry Maguire moment where you grab the goldfish and you grab your shit and you're heading out. And if you haven't seen that movie, you're under 25, that's fine. Just rent it. Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise.
I can't believe there's people who don't know Jerry Maguire, but I guess you're probably right.
They're out there. They're out there.
They're out there.
And I think what Jeff means, I mean, he only means one of two things. He means like, no, actually, you're going to get fired and that's it. Or he means like, have the courage to not be afraid while you're there to go for it. What is the thing that will really move the business, even if it's scary? And by the way, when you go for it, you'll probably ignite all the right people in the company that are going to be like, yes, finally, let's go for it. Now, to build on the Jeff's comments of you're fired, and then by the way, that's the end of that answer. Like the answer is Go for it. Go for it and go for it. Don't be an idiot about it. Take your budget. Another thing that a guy named Jason Sparrow at Google once told me is that he takes 5% of his budget every year. Here we are at the end of the year. Take
Mhm.
5% of your budget, make that your experimental budget. I call it building an experimental task force, an ETF. So
Mhm.
take 5% of your budget, take some of your smartest people, give them 6 months of coverage to come back with a recommendation to move 20% of your budget to. And like cover them,
Brilliant.
right? And again, we're back to like now, right? The thing that you'd have to go slow on before, which is I've inherited a team or not everyone, some people are stuck in the day job, which is a fair thing.
Hmm.
Now you're actually like it's a call for courage, and you build this courage cohort inside your company that all want to go for it, and they're part of this sleuth mission team working on some magic project that just energizes them. And then if you get it right, it becomes a new revenue stream or a new awareness opportunity for the business. So I adore that. Now, anyway, to go back to the Jeff comment, I actually think the more I thought about it, there really is only three quips, three isms that you hear. One is you're fired.
Hmm.
Okay, as Jeff said, pick the thing you want to be known, get fired for at least. It's better than like you hid and you knew it was
Right.
coming.
I love it that I feel like there's probably very few people whose leadership advice for the year is going to be pick what you're going to get fired for, which I love.
Right, right. And again, I mean, I hope you don't get fired, guys. But
No,
like,
I know, I know.
but like the point is to pick that project that lights you up. And if you feel like you can't find it at the company you're at, that leads to the second suggestion, which is the words "I quit." And I think a lot of us we're just tired of that's what the great resignation happened, right? Like it shouldn't have taken a global pandemic, by the way, to like look at yourself and look at the people we were working with and going, I don't really want to take this anymore, and I know this isn't right in my heart. And I mean, the numbers are fairly staggering, by the way, where it's like a third of
Very,
people quit with no backup plan. Like the better choice was sitting at home than working. Just wow. Anyway, so
yeah,
what
very telling.
one is you're fired, two is I quit, and three is thank you for your service.
Mhm.
Right? And thank you for
Love
your
that.
service in my mind is more like you've retired. Like right, you've retired, you've done your time, and thank you for your service. And so as you think about like which would you prefer to hear,
Hmm.
would you rather be the one delivering it? Would you if it's thank you for your service, by the way, you have found a home that lets you be you, that lets you do you, that lets you like again, if you're especially if you're listening to this podcast, it's not called the Play It Safe podcast, it's called the Courageous Podcast, right? Like when you actually hear thank you for your service and like we appreciate you, you are the luckiest of the lucky because you found a place where you could do just that, where you can challenge yourself or build teams that are working on cool shit for 10, 20, 30 years or beyond.
Hmm.
You're fired. Well, okay, fine. If you hear those words, did you pick the project that you're just right? And then I quit is the stop lying to yourself moment. And so all of that is, are you really doing the thing that lights you up? Have you really found the thing that excites you? Are you part of a change? Are you part of something new? I just sent this other newsletter out about new versus change, where change can come
Hmm.
off as like scary, but oh, we need to change, right? It's like scary, fear, but like no, we get to do something new, like cool, exciting, budget, right? Let's do something new,
Hmm.
and again, ask yourself if you can figure out a way to push forward with that new where it truly lights you up. That's my hope for you. And if you're a leader, create those environments. Create the environments where you don't want somebody coming back and I quit. It's like,
Yeah,
right, that's really it.
that's beautiful. And honestly, I mean, if nothing else, I feel like I have a lot of really good things to take away from a lot of the things you said, and honestly, a lot of the things to think about and journal about when I go get my journal, and everyone else who's listening is going to get their journal also.
I'm gonna get my journal too. I mean, like to me, like I know that I need to make more time to journal. I mean, I have the luxury of the newsletter that helps me write every week, and I think that
Mhm.
there's no fear on writing it. It's almost, again, it's more therapeutic than anything because I get to keep the muscle sharp and share what I'm learning from really, really smart people and put that out into the world, and
Yep.
away we go.
Journaling is my favorite tool for sure. Okay, so maybe before we close, is there anything that you didn't share that you want to tell listeners before the end of 2022?
Yeah, and this will be a succinct one, which
Okay.
is, um, just thank you. I mean, if you have allowed me to be in your ear, and again, you're still listening to this episode too, right? Like it tells me that the work we're doing is meaningful, and that's all you can ask for is to like try to find something that you're passionate about that you want to share with the world that will move people or inspire people. And that's how I feel about this. Like I said, that whole Mexico trip pretty much sort of further validated that, if I could help you fight fear, create change, and be courageous. It's really fight fear, be courageous, and make change. I think that's the right order. But I'm so down with that. So just thank you for coming on the journey. By no means do any of us feel like, oh, we have it all figured out. And we're still learning and growing and staying curious about all this too. But just super grateful, and have an absolute wonderful New Year's Eve. And I hope you had a wonderful holiday. And yes, I'm sorry about 2022 dying, but that gives us an opportunity to talk about the rebirth, right? There's a new
Yep.
birth, something new is coming, and you get the opportunity to, like, if you so choose, to be excited about how you want to take on the new year. So
Yep.
happy New Year. Nicole Miller, I'm looking forward to doing more cool shit with you in 2023. We got a big year ahead of us, and let's keep on
Same.
rolling.
And in the spirit of gratitude, thanks for letting me crash your podcast. I had so much fun.
Oh, you're a great host. I now know that if I go down, like if I get COVID and I'm out for 6
I'm
months,
in.
you can't give me COVID though.
No,
don't
no.
don't like try to actively.
Yeah, we won't
But
do
I
that.
I trust it, and I'm sure I'll hear, like we said, Billy Collins is going to come after.
Oh,
Like, why did I
he's
get
gonna
to
be
host
pissed.
this episode? Totally pissed. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this very different, unique end of year podcast. Thanks for listening. Get that journal. Maybe consider that mind goal, that mind resolution, that body resolution, that spirit resolution. And I probably should have offered this up earlier, but if you want to share or you have a question, email me, Ryan Berman at couragebrands.com. I'd love to hear what you think you want to do and take on in 2023. And if we can help in any way, look, as your friend, as a Courage Sherpa, let us know. We'll help where we can. Happy New Year. Stay courageous.
Peace out.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.